have more of a face for video, where my father, may he rest in peace, used to say, son, you have a face for radio. With that, we're going to get started today. I'm really excited to highlight a conversation with a good friend of mine, Branden Elwell. You're going to learn all about the power of AI. Just to give you guys a little bit of context here on the Launching Life Series podcast powered by Heartland RV, we are going to talk and change things up. Normally, I talk about RVing lifestyle, current RV owners, some of our owners of our brands of products. We've highlighted a lot of campgrounds. We've promoted a lot of the events that we go to each and every year. But the one thing we really haven't talked about is that difference between the OEM's responsibility of creating the best ownership experience possible, which I'm extremely biased, but I think that what me and our team here at Heartland RV and Plant 15 under Jim Fenner are doing, we are dominating the industry in that regard, but it's not going to be about what we're doing. It's the other piece that's the responsibility of our partner dealers throughout North America. Every dealership has an obligation to not just promote a given OEM's brand. I always make the comparison to a grocery store, aisle 27, they've got every flavor on the shelf. That is the responsibility of a dealer, is to provide a customer, prospect or not, to come on that lot and say, we don't have to go anywhere else. Every flavor is here. We can look at everything that we want. The pricing is right. The transaction went smooth. That's Mecca in the world of dealerships. So why do I bring on my good friend, Branden Elwell? Well, he is transforming the buying experience through AI with an amazing company called Impel.io. And before Branden gets too popular in the RV industry, I want to be the first on our podcast here in the Launching Life Series podcast to say, I knew him before all of you. Branden, you have done a remarkable job with your team, spreading your footprint across many industries. And now you're making you're making a lot of noise here in the RV industry. So with that, long-winded, I know, I'm sorry. Welcome to the Launching Life Series podcast.
Thank you, Willie. I appreciate that, my man. It is awesome to be on here with you. We've been chatting about it for quite some time, and our calendars finally aligned. I can't believe you and I were able to sit down long enough to do this with all that we've got going on. But truly a pleasure. Very much looking forward to just chopping it up with you here today. And hopefully introducing some ideas to some folks who follow the pod that maybe they haven't thought of or haven't heard of before, and reinforce those with some that may be doing some of this already. So
Sure.
I'm really excited to get into it with you.
So why don't we start there first with our audience base? You know, as you and I have talked over the last few months, trying to get, again, some time where we could square up with each other here. We are seeing a huge transition, right? Post-COVID, RVing was popular. So during that time when the demand exceeds the supply, we were putting them out as fast as possible and they were pre-sold. So the amount of work on that whole buying experience, customers doing research on their own for 3, 6, 9 months, even before they even are comfortable to go to a dealership lot, that kind of was on pause. Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, post-COVID, more companies are going, hey, we know that you guys enjoyed that working remote stuff, but that's over. So you're coming back in. We have now, taken that step back to now people are embracing how technology works, doing the research in the comfort of their home before they are going out to a dealership. And so now we're seeing a lot of dealerships are starting to look to, hey, what technologies are out there that we can leverage to provide more information about a said RV manufacturer like Heartland RV maybe, or others that are out there. As I've talked to you over the last year, seeing how much you've grown, why don't we start first with who is Impel? Sure. And what is it that you really, at 30,000 feet, do for any type of dealership?
Yeah, great questions. And this is going to be echoed by some super spirited conversations that we had last week at RVDA in Las Vegas, where it was wonderful to be there, chatting with dealers, independent dealers, some of the groups in the industry as well, many of which we're working with today. But let me take you a walk down memory lane a little bit about Impel, because we have been around for a minute. We're not a startup. We are somewhat new to the RV industry, but our roots go back to, 2014, 2015. And we really began in the automotive space. And that is where we've been and really have planted a flag. And we began as a company called Spin Car. And we changed our name to Impel about 2 years ago. And I'll tell you why. But we began as Spin Car because if you're a consumer of an automobile and you've ever gone to a dealer's website, you've probably had the ability to interact with the piece of inventory you're looking at. You can grab it, spin it around, you can get inside, you can do the up and down and around and look at the digital gauges and all of that. There's a very, very high percentage chance that you're using our technology at that local dealer site when you have that buying journey. So we began, Spin Car made perfect sense when that's what our core product solution set was as a software as a service company. We, in the last 24 to 36 months, have expanded beyond the digital merchandising solutions, and we'll talk about those. They're still extremely important today, but we moved into, through some very strategic acquisitions, we moved into conversational AI solutions. And it really set our trajectory as a company on another level. And it allowed us to expand the offering that we can provide to dealers to assist them with the position that they find themselves in again today, to what you were just mentioning. That pendulum has swung back. Fortunately or unfortunately, it's not shooting ducks in a barrel any longer, right? We need to know how to sell, but more importantly, we need to provide a really top-notch consumer journey, customer experience from the day they start their buying journey, which, as you mentioned, can be 60, 90, 120 days long, all the way through that acquisition and dealing with F&I and getting out the door at the dealership. And that's where Impel really lands in that process. We leverage, or we provide what we call our digital merchandising solutions, that 360 spin that I was telling you about a moment ago. That's available now, and we've got hundreds of RV dealers that are leveraging that on their local dealer websites to show the inventory inside and out, etc. We've got a wonderful program that's called our Feature Tour. What's really cool about that is every RV is unique, every automobile is unique, every boat is unique, and the manufacturers, the OEMs, build great functionality and features into each one of those, but it can be hard to explain what those features are just with dots on paper, with lines on a website, right? And trying to read it. But the OEMs, yourself included, do a great job of creating videos and imagery and verbiage that goes with it. That content should be syndicated to the dealer's website as well and be germane to that specific piece of inventory. We go and curate that information, and we can then get it presented on the dealer's website so that they'll know what all of those different differentiations and features really means to them by watching a video that the OEM has created instead of just reading the words. So the Feature Tour adds into that, giving the customer more information where they are so they don't have to leave the website and go find it somewhere else and get lost in the internet. Providing as much of that information that they want to have access to, and empowering them as a consumer to access it when they want, from where they want, their laptop, their phone, whether they're at work, whether they're at home, heck, whether they're in their RV out in the woods and they've got their satellite going and they're on the internet that way. So that as they're moving through that journey, they're able to go and gather the information that makes them smarter, helps them feel more empowered. So when they're ready to go make that decision, they're not walking in cold asking what a Class A is versus a toy hauler, right? They know what it is. They're down to the details at that point. And the dealers love this, of course, because an educated buyer is exactly what we're looking for. We want folks that understand it, have fallen in love, and have reasons for why they've fallen in love. So that's the merchandising solutions that we provide help with that customer's journey on the website, but does it in a manner that doesn't require a lot of extra lift by the dealer. We use technology, AI, and things of that nature to make sure that the features associated with that particular RV are the right features, that they don't have to add them in at the dealer level. Let technology handle that, right? Use your phone, your iPhone, which will become some of the best cameras in the world, and go do a video around of a unit and go in and shoot some video inside and have that syndicate directly to the dealer's website so that that consumer can go and drag it and move around 360, look here, hot spots to tell me different pieces of the of that particular vehicle, and really provide for the consumer the type of journey and the type of information that they want to see from a web perspective. So that's kind of our digital merchandising solutions. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And I think, like I said, that's what I want a lot of people to know here on this show is, a lot of times, they just think, hey, you're making an RV, it goes to a dealership. They're just guessing on how to connect with us or get us the information. What I really find so unique about Impel.io and your leadership and what you've been able to do in so many industries, and now, like I said, broadening your footprint here within the RV industry. This technology is not just shooting from the hip in creative marketing. And I want everybody that's listening and watching this to know what we're exposing is how much technology now dealerships, storefronts are utilizing to not do creative marketing, but to tell the truth with accurate information that consumers want. You and I, like I said, over the year and a half, we've become pals. You hear me all the time. I always talk about more information, more communication, more transparency. That's what people want when they're making a substantial purchase. An RV isn't something you buy on Amazon for $20. So, when it's a low priced, consumer good, we don't really care to know the company, the history, what they're involved in, how they treat their employees, those types of things. But like you had said with an automobile, people sometimes love their automobile more than their kids, or at least maybe more than the family dog. With RVs, we've seen that this isn't just a recreational lifestyle, especially what we learned from COVID, right? The one thing I love is, through our friendship, you and I, we always have, a lot of talk offline about following trends. What are the trends telling us? What are the trends showing us? And the truth is, to me, that's the apex for a dealership is, when they say, hey, how can we advance? If you can become almost like a media company, and you and I know people like Gary Vee that always do talk about that. But to me, the dealership that provides the most information, the most communication, the most transparency, and they can do that with Impel, you really have something that's leverageable in terms of value to anybody. Even if they don't buy from you, I'm confident just on, what you've shared with me offline, it's still a really impressive experience. And they're getting more information at XYZ dealership than anywhere else. And I really just, again, applaud you, your development team, the IT wizards that, know all that stuff. But to have I call it a SaaS company, where they can just simply make a monthly investment with you, harness the power of all this technology to give the customers, again, no marketing BS, but all the information that's pertinent. The one thing that you and I had talked before, I think you were heading to a boat show, in the marine sector. I had asked you about, when we make videos, a lot of times it's almost like B-roll for a dealer because sometimes they don't even have it in stock.
Right.
But your technology, if I'm correct, you had said, no, that's based on VIN numbers in stock. Correct. Can you kind of explain, I guess, how you guys do that?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting because the word transparency that you used there a couple times, I think is the one that if we were taking notes, we'd highlight it and underline it a couple times because it is the critical piece. Us as consumers, you and I as well, you're not going to get anything past us anymore, right? Like we're way too smart and we've got too much technology that's going to help us be that. Being as transparent as you possibly can is how you truly win the trust and the loyalty of your customers and make them a customer for life. And that's where, I was just this week, I was in Texas chatting with a luxury automotive OEM, their digital marketing team, and they were chatting about their own statistics that show that if a dealer leverages stock imagery for their vehicle, their VIN specifically, their VDPs, right? That a consumer is less than they are 3 times more apt to become emotionally attached to the vehicle if it's true images and live or real images of the actual vehicle than they will if they're stock photography. which is pretty cool. The folks there said it goes from being a car to being my car.
Yeah.
And that's where our solution, I think, bridges that gap, because it allows the dealer to do just that. Go get authentic, original images of that specific unit, right? Outside, inside, the paint scheme, any additional extras or anything that have been put onto that particular unit, right? Walk inside, see the leather color, see the granite color, whatever it might be. That then allows that consumer to not be wondering, I wonder how accurate, these stock images of this thing are compared to what it's going to look like. No. This is exactly precisely it, right? Another thing that is really important with the transparency aspect comes into the pre-owned side of the dealership, which we know is a major piece of every dealership. We've got a little bit of technology that we call our hotspots. And in these hotspots, you can also do any damage. So you can get out in front of it. Hey, look, on this corner, there are scratches on this corner. And and so that the consumer isn't alarmed when they get to the showroom and say, well, wait a minute, why didn't you tell me that the oven doesn't work, or whatever it might be, right? It allows for that truly authentic, truly transparent experience that the dealer can very quickly set up and not rely on anybody else. Or if they use a lot service provider, we've got relationships with over 50 of those. So if they've got someone who comes in and does their images for them, chances are they're already using our tool. So that works great too. But by taking authentic images, highlighting things like any damage areas or hot spots, it allows for that consumer to feel like, wow, they're showing me everything, right? I'm building a relationship here before you've even spoken to them, perhaps.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I said, I think, like I said, where we're at now, we are back to, families getting home after a busy work week, looking at the macroeconomics of what's going on, kind of slow playing before they, get on the dealership lot. So, the retail traffic has slowed a little bit, but then it always balances out through trends. Now we're seeing the increase back to our own landing page on our website, the dealership's website. And the biggest thing that people are always looking at is, again, current inventory VIN numbers, because they hate driving there and seeing, hey, that's gone now.
Yep.
And so that's the other thing that I think is really impressive with your technology. The other thing that I like, when I think about the dealers that we serve, right, they're very busy during the day. They're constantly talking to, prospective customers. They have existing customers that are coming in for service work, at least in the RV world.
Yep.
And so, they don't have a lot of time to dedicate to getting all these photos, putting them on a computer. Can you just kind of talk a little bit, though? And I think that's why that you guys have been having so much success, is whether it's the software, the platform, the interface, it has been so minimal for so many dealerships. As they say, like it literally, it doesn't take us a lot of time. So just for a dealer that's maybe listening right now and, wants to learn more information about, some of the capabilities, how much time would you say that they have to be dedicated if they're taking, call it 35 units a month? How much time would it take a dealership to update and get those live, accurate photos?
Yeah, great question. Here's the first part of that answer, which I think is so powerful, is that it's all done via an app. So like I said before, your smartphone, walking around the vehicle, going into the vehicle, you don't have to worry about, oh my gosh, I got to learn a whole new computer system, or I got to learn a new photography system.
Yeah, like post-editing, any of that stuff.
No. So it's all done through the app. It's also synchronized with your dealer's website. So regardless of who you use for your website provider, we work with all of them. We put a script on the website, and you go around the vehicle. In the automotive space, because it's a little bit simpler interior-wise, right? With RVs, we may have a bathroom to shoot, a couple bedrooms to shoot, etc. In the automotive space, it's about 5 minutes to do everything. To walk around the car, to get inside the car, to take the individual. We'll do a shot list that is by brand. So Lexus, for instance, may let us know, I want these 21 photos. I want the steering wheel with the instrument cluster. I want each of the wheels. I want the engine, or whatever they may be. And the app guides whoever's taking those images. Okay, your next image is the steering wheel. So sit there and take it. We have a hologram, if you will, that sits there, and you line it up and then take the picture. So super, super easy to do. In the RV space, because we'll have a little bit more of an in-depth interior to do, I would imagine that 5 minutes probably goes to 15 to 20 max. And what's great is you get done with the app doing the shots, and you don't have to then go to your computer, plug in something, upload all the images, pick which ones you want, move those to a Dropbox, try to find the Dropbox, get it to the site. We're synchronized. So when you get done shooting them and you hit complete, within 12, 14 minutes, they'll be live on your website based on the specific VIN that vehicle is, and you don't have to touch it. And then your consumers are beginning their experience, as we chatted about earlier, without having to do anything more. So super, super easy. One thing I always say is, in all my life, over 20 some years now selling software as a service, I've yet to find somebody who was out to look to buy software for the sake of buying software. No one cares, right? They want something that's going to make their life better and is going to do things for them, and it's going to enhance. And that's where we target with the digital merchandising solutions. Another interesting trend, speaking of trends, that we've seen and that we're really embracing is that with all of the traffic that is now, because folks are doing their buying journey online, and our friends at Shift Digital put a survey out. They said that a consumer is 3 times more likely to spend time at the dealer website than they are at the OEM's website.
100%.
So the dealer's website's got to be right. But another trend we found is that in talking to all of these dealers and also to a lot of the OEMs, we're hearing that somewhere around 50%, 50, of the inbound inquiries that come into a website, again, either at the OEM level or at the dealer level, go untouched. We've been shooting fish in a barrel, right? And we've just been able to cherry pick for the last few years in just about every industry. Those days are over. So seeing that many consumers that come, like for instance, with Heartland, I jumped on SimilarWeb earlier and saw that you had about 407,000 people hit the website in the last 3 months. We annualize that. That's about 1.6 million annual visitors. We find from data across our company, somewhere between 8 and 12% of the folks that land on your website will actually put in some sort of an inquiry to your website. So that's about 128,000 inquiries that could have come into Heartland in the last 12 months. If those stats are correct, that's 60,000 potential sales that didn't get responded to. And I'm not calling you out. I'm just saying in general, right? So what we've been able to do, and again, this is why we moved the name from Spin Car, which was just thinking about spinning your car, to Impel, is that we've got a conversational AI solution set that now allows, when those inbound inquiries come in, whether it's at the OEM's website or at tier 3 at the dealer's website, we're synced with their CRM so that when that inquiry comes in, our conversational AI takes that first step.
Right.
And 100% of those inbound inquiries begin to be worked with from a conversational perspective, well beyond the, hey, I'm a bot, can I get your phone number, that we've grown up knowing. This is rather conversational. It's going to be predicated and built upon where they've been searching in the site to know what kinds of questions to ask them. And that has moved buyers down funnels and educated consumers before they were ready to come into a storefront, giving them additional information, making them more comfortable, answering questions, and then, of course, bringing better quality opportunities to sales staffs once they're ready to be spoken with by the sales staff. So that's another trend, is this conversational AI, that it's a buzzword and we don't know what it means yet, but we do. We've been doing it for about 2 years, and it means a lot.
Here's the one thing I want to bring out attention to all of our listeners and viewers that are RV owners. This next point's for you. So it's great that Impel.io has this great technology to visually see everything aesthetic standpoint, all the specifications of current inventory. That's great for dealers. That's also great for end customers. Let's assume I was a prospect, and dealerships all the time, as I talk to them coast to coast in North America, they're always quick to tell me about where their address is, how much traffic's driving by every day, and I say, I don't care if it's 100,000 cars a day. How many of them know what you guys have in terms of F&I? And so the most uncomfortable part of that journey is, yes, Bob and Sally fall in love with a fifth wheel. Well, then comes the old Foursquare, right? So you got your percentage rate, payment, trade-in value, terms. Which one matters? What really impresses me, and I want you just to explain to people, so when you guys are doing research on your own, and depending on where you're at geographically, there may be a dealership where you're going to recognize, this could be Impel, because that is probably the biggest void or the part of the buying journey that is hidden behind the closet until they're there physically. And you guys have very, very unique resources that allow that F&I transparency. This is the first I've ever seen. So if it's been around in automotive, great for automotive. This is the first time, and that's why I told you when I wanted you to come on, explain to me what information a retail customer would see with that technology of the finance and insurance part of it.
Yeah, and what's great about that is it's as broad or as narrow as the individual dealer would like that information to be relayed to the consumer. Obviously, being Gary Vee guys like you and I are, he would tell us the more the better. Why you talk about being transparent on one side, don't be not transparent on the other side of the coin, right? Let's be fully transparent. But the solution set is built in a way that it can provide as much vision as the dealer would like, or it can keep the guardrails on and be a little bit more directed and just continue to lead them down a path. But we have both through the conversational AI solutions, which many folks ask those questions. We can have guardrails to answer them correctly and guide them down the path that the dealer is looking for. We also have F&I capabilities that can be attached to the digital merchandising aspect, so that on the dealer's website, when they're looking at the spin, or when they're looking at images, or when they're looking at feature tour, there could also be a box there that just says F&I, and begin to educate them then, right, about what are the programs, what are the warranties. Nobody loves to get hit at the 11th hour after we think we know what this automobile is going to cost us with more extras. That's the worst time to present them. Present them up front when these folks are building their dream, and they're getting all the information that they want and need to be educated. We help with that. So the AI tool can speak about it in conversations, both text and email, and then the digital merchandising pieces allow for information about the F&I to show up right there on the VDP. So as I'm learning, as I'm shopping, as I'm spending more time there, I'm getting educated about everything that this dealer is willing to show me. It's no surprise to you and I, I'm sure, those dealers that are the most transparent, guess what? They're also the most successful, and they are also the ones that have customers for life.
Well, and I'm going to tell you too, I think that portion of the buying journey is the most important, because, again, going back to transparency, it's no secret. When you buy an automobile, outside of oil changes, there's no maintenance. I'm not recaulking the windows. I'm not recaulking the roof. RVs require a lot of work, and majority of the buyers either weren't aware of how much they need to do, and when the frequency changes, depending on how much you use the coach, where you go, UV damage, etc. And we as an industry have always, sold the product as a recreational product that you're going to use a couple weeks out of the year. Well, we're seeing, like I said, more full-time RVing happening. And you're seeing a huge investment into campgrounds and, different boutique areas to stay with your coach, and more events are accepting, RVs come. It's not just the days of tailgating. If you head out west, if you mention the word Glamis, there'll be 300,000 units sitting in the middle of a desert, and people are racing side by sides. So as it's become more mainstream, the need for that information and education is even more important because of the volume of customers that are now going there. And like you said, when you buy a coach, a lot of consumers have been giving our dealers feedback about, hey, we want more time during our PDI walkthrough, because it's overwhelming. You go through a 46-foot fifth wheel, and it's like, okay, I remember. You get home and you're like, how do we do this again? So that's where we're seeing a big uptick in our service parts warranty when they call our 800 number, is just, hey, we just got this coach. We had a great explanation from the dealership, but we just feel overwhelmed. Can you walk us through that? So we're doing a lot of that kind of work. And I think that when people go and buy a coach, there are so many great programs outside of what OEMs offer in terms of warranty, but they don't hear about it until it's like, yep, this is the one we want. And so what I think was remarkable about Impel.io, they say like 60% of people, they're not even educated, and they would probably, had they had more time, more transparency, more information, and an understanding of what buying XYZ would be, whether it's maintenance plans, service contracts, wheel protection, etc., whatever's being offered. If they had more time to do research and do the math, they would probably be more likely to utilize it if they see value in doing so. So I just think it's really important for people to know, and the reason why our friendship is so strong is everything that I always talk about, and unfortunately, I think I post like 10 times more than you. So sorry to mom and dad, you and all my other pals, but you are saying the same thing, just not as crazy loud. It's more information, more communication, more transparency. That's what Impel.io does for all dealerships. You guys serve, like I said, automotive. You're in RV. You are in marine, correct?
We are. Yes, absolutely. Yep. Power sports.
Power sports. Are you in aviation too?
Not aviation yet. No, I can't wait to be, because I'm a big plane aviation geek, so I can't wait for that. But yeah, but many of the other verticals for sure.
So here's how I just want to close.
Yeah.
For the consumers, know that there's amazing organizations like Impel that are working to not right hook you, not show you some marketing, PowerPoint created. This is actual information to a dealership nearest you. When you guys take your hard-earned money and you get into your vehicle and you're ready to go and talk, all that information that you researched, if it's a Impel.io dealership, it's going to match when you arrive. That unit's going to be there. You can go over everything, and you are going to have a much better buying experience. There's going to be a lot more information that you can get to in advance to know kind of maybe some costing associated to some of the different service plans that that dealership is offering. So I just invite people to, as you're embracing that, doing more research at home, really spend time going into these dealership websites. All of the dealers are working hard to come up with new ways, and just know that Impel, they are on the road, probably more than me, to provide that solution to all of you guys on the consumer side. And as far as all of our dealership pals that are following us, supporting us, of course, we appreciate your commitment to our brands. On behalf of the RV industry, I know other manufacturers are really happy too, because our dealers have done a lot over the last 3 years. I just invite all of you to learn more about Impel. The best way for them to learn more, if they have questions and just kind of maybe don't want to put stuff out there, but just talk to you directly, Branden, what would you recommend they do?
Yeah, sure. So the 40,000-foot view, of course, is just Impel.io, Impel.io. That's our website. Tons of information out there. Lots of use cases and case studies and testimonials and everything you could ever want to know about is there. Me personally, I love, as you can tell, Willie, we've been doing this for a minute or two. You and I love chatting with people. So I can be found on LinkedIn is a great place to find me. I post quite a bit out there. Not, as you said, not quite like you, but I post quite a bit out there. Branden Elwell, it's BrandenEL in the word well. So find me, connect with me on LinkedIn. You can DM me there, get with me there, or B Elwell, B as in boy, ELWELL at Impel.io is my email. Shoot me an email. I'm happy to respond to you and start a conversation. But Willie, I can't thank you enough, man. This was really fun. I love watching your podcast, and can't wait to see us out there on one of them as well. So thank you so much for having me.
Hey, no problem, Branden. And again, just thank you so much for taking some time to explain to all of our listeners how you are helping to transform the buying experience through AI. And I just think it's amazing, with more information, more communication, and more transparency. So I'm sure I'll have you back on again. Awesome. But to everybody, just stay tuned. If you're looking for a great buying experience, look for a dealership that's possibly utilizing Impel. And to all of our dealer friends, get a hold of Branden. You better line up, though, because the calls are coming in. Branden, thank you so much. Have a great rest of this week. I wish you and your family a wonderful Thanksgiving.
You too.
And I hope to see you here during the RV show season starting in Tampa here in January.
Looking forward to it, Willie. Happy Thanksgiving to you and yours as well. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
I'm Will Miller, and I want to thank you for tuning in to the Launching Life's Journeys podcast brought to you by Heartland RVs. Stay tuned for our next destination.